Hi guys, ArtSavanna here. I'm here to show you how to do a Day of the Dead sugar skull kind of a look. Now, it's a pretty simple Halloween costume. There's not too much to it, and I will be going through how to make one for yourself. Now, what you'll need for the costume is just a few things. You're going to need a face paint kit. If you don't have one, you can get one at sillyfarm.com. That's where I got mine. You don't have to if you want to get, if there's something else you prefer to use, you can use makeup. I'm just showing you how to apply face paint, but you can use the same techniques or style to apply makeup. The other thing that you're going to need is a flower headband of some kind. I picked up this one for $3 at Walmart, and it's an elastic band. If you don't like elastic bands, like I'm not a big fan of them, you can also buy something like this, which is just a plain headband. There's actually 3 in this set, but anyway, you could take one of these headbands, and all you would need to do, now I haven't done this today, but all you need to do is snip the elastic here and here, and then you can use hot glue or whatever you like to use. I'd say hot glue is probably your best bet. And you want to find out where the center of the flower band is. Line it up with the center on the headband. Glue that like that little spot first, just the center piece, and then glue around the rest, and then you would have a headband as opposed to an elastic. So that is really simple. This was $3, and I think this set of 3 was also $3, so $6 total for a pretty nice looking flower headband. Now the other thing you're going to want to use or have, this is where it also is very simple. You just want to have a black dress or even a black shirt with a colorful floral skirt would work, or you can look for something a little bit more traditional, but those are just a simple costume. You can either leave your hair down, like I'll be leaving my hair down, or you can pull your hair up into a really big lovely bun on top. I won't be doing that, but either way it's going to look lovely once the flowers are in your hair. Alright, so let's get started on how to do this look. To get started, make sure your hair is all out of your face and your face is clean. There's no makeup on it. I wouldn't put any concealer or anything like that. Now I'm going to use some white face paint and a sponge, and I'm going to use some water. Now usually the best way to get water onto your sponge is actually to spray it with like a misting spray bottle, and I actually lost mine, so I won't be doing it that way, but that way you just get like a light coating of water. Right now I'm going to be dipping my sponge in water and then lightly brushing it off, letting it dry for a moment. Then you just wipe your sponge on the face paint. You can buy these sponges at like any craft store. And apply it all over your face. You can cover up your lips if you want. You're going to be covering it up with color later, so it's not like it really matters too much. If you don't like the feeling of this kind of paint on your face, then maybe don't cover your lips. But I like it because then it makes the red that I put on later really bright because I've got the white base. Now I'm getting some streaks because I used water and I applied it like directly onto the sponge instead of doing what I should have, which is spraying the water on it. So you can flip over the sponge and use the back side to get rid of the lines that you're getting, and just kind of dab, and it'll pick up the extra paint and more evenly and make it look a bit more even. Now you can go for a super white face. I'm just kind of going for the look of a white face. So this is not as white as you can get it. With face paint, I mean. You can make your face stark white. And in that case, you want to use like a brush. But I prefer to just make it subtle. Okay, now that you have your white face, it's time to let it fully dry. With face paint, because it's kind of like watercolors in the sense that you add water to be able to apply it. You want to make sure it's all fully dry before you move on to your next color, because otherwise it'll smear it, make it lighter than maybe the color you're going for. So I'm going to make sure that this is fully dry before I move on to the next step, which will be color. Now that my face is fully dry, we're going to go ahead and move on to using some black. So you want to apply the water to the paint, and similar to watercolors, it works best if you apply some water and then let it kind of sit for a moment, because as it sits, it loosens up more of the paint, and then you have a better, it goes on better. So add some water, let it sit for just a moment or two. You can be mixing it around if you want in your palette. Oh, and I didn't mention, but this is Wolf face paint that I got at SilyFarm.com. You can buy other kits. They've got great stuff. Or if you know of a face paint that you already have, or if you've used the kinds at Walmart's, I've never used those kinds that you get at the store. Use whatever you're comfortable with. So now I've got my black, and I'm gonna start by outlining my nose and my eyes. Now you're wanting to cover up your eyebrows because you're supposed to look like a skeleton, so you don't want to have eyebrows. Skeletons don't have them. The other thing I want to point out is that you can have like a perfectly circle eye, but it sometimes makes you look a little bit raccoon-like. But if you just slightly kind of make it almost maybe like a bit like a drop of water almost, it'll give you a little bit better, a little bit less raccoon-like shape. But you can also, it's easier to make it larger than it is to make it smaller. So I always start out, like, obviously cover your eyebrows, but then stick kind of close to the bottom of your eye until you're sure how far down you want to go. Keep your eyelid uncreased as it's drawing so that you don't get a funny line in it. At least with face paint you can get a funny line. So I'm just kind of keeping the lids a little more flat, trying not to open them up entirely. Now I've decided that I like this to be a little bit lower on my eyeball and a little bit further out as well. But the shape is a little bit unique. You can do it however you feel like looks best on you. The hard part now will be matching the other side. That's why it's nice to use your eyebrow as kind of like the starting point. Helps keep it looking similar. But it's not really that big of a deal if they're perfectly the same. It's such a dramatic look, people aren't going to be really noticing or caring too greatly if it's identical, because they're just going to be impressed with the overall look. All right, now we're going to move on to the nose. The nose is not too difficult. You're going to think about where the center of your nose is, like here, and bring a point up on either side, about yay high. And then what you're going to do is paint you want to paint out your nostrils, because skeletons obviously don't have nostrils. So you can see how I'm painting. The black is going to make it look like you don't have nostrils. But just take it out to where your nostrils begin. You don't have to go past that. Because we want to make it look like it's a hole. Now this isn't the last time we'll be using the black, but for now, this is all we want because we wanted to have a starting point to kind of get our ground as far as where we'll be painting. Now the next part, I would say pick about 3 colors. Keep your palette sort of limited if you have a color palette similar to this where you've got so many options. If you don't have something like this, if you have a really small thing and you maybe only have 4 colors, I would say use the black, the white, and then 1 or 2 other colors. You can use any combination. I'm going to use a sort of, I'm going to use a color palette that somewhat mimics my flowers so that I kind of am coordinated. So I'm going to be using a combination of pink and white and yellow. You could use pink and orange and yellow. You can use pink, yellow, and teal. In fact, maybe I will use pink, yellow, and teal. I think I will. I think I like that combination better. So to start, use whatever's your lightest color. So in my case, yellow is my lightest color in this set. I'm just mixing in some water to get it good and moist. Make sure I have a lot of paint because I'll be using it a good amount. And now you want to kind of just make little half circles around your black eyes. Now you do want to be careful and not, just like we waited for the white to dry. If your black's not completely dry, your yellow can darken, and since we want this to be bright, either don't get too close to the black or wait till the black is entirely dry before going on. And I'm just making little half circles, or like you can think of it like petals, almost on a flower. Now I know it's not super easy to see the yellow right now. We will be outlining it, so don't worry. Don't worry too much about having to be exact or having the exact same number of petals. If you're keeping the same general size, it's close enough. Now we're going to be going back and forth with the different colors. So if you want to have like 3 different brushes with each color on the brushes so you don't have to wash them out between everything, you can. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to move on to my pink now. And you can use a pink or a red. You can use any color you want. But I'm going to be using pink this time. I may highlight or outline in red a bit. Now these embellishments, you can change them to make them into something that you like. So if you're not big into like hearts, or if you don't like, I'm going to do a flower a little bit later on. If you don't like those things, don't do it. Do what you like. The fun thing about these Day of the Dead is that there's a sort of a template, but after you finish that template, you can do whatever you want. It's really, there's a lot of freedom. Going back to the yellow now to do some more embellishing. Now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to use just a little bit of red. I want to darken up certain spots with the pink. And I'm going to also do the red lips. And you can outer line your lips quite a bit with this because you've got white everywhere. It's not going to look odd. And I'm actually going to extend it beyond my lip, like my natural mouth line. Now I'm liking how this is looking, but it's also looking sort of boring in the colors. It's just kind of shades of red and yellow. So now I'm going to move on to a kind of a teal color. You could do a blue or a purple or a green. I feel like the purple and possibly even a green would look a little too monotone because green and yellow are close to one another and purple is near pink. So I'm using a teal color to kind of add some difference. Now this is fairly, I know it looks pretty complicated, but it's actually simple because the only things you're really drawing are like hearts, flowers, dots, and swirls. If you can do any of those, then you can do this. Now we've got the color on, I'm actually going to go back to using the black, and we're going to just do a little bit of outline work as well as add in our skeleton mouth. When it comes to creating your skeleton mouth, you just want to line it. And ever so little past the red of your lips, just a small amount. And that's it. That's your skeleton Day of the Dead look. Now pair this with a, if you didn't see the beginning of the video, pair this with a black dress and colorful skirt or just a plain black dress. And then also include, of course, a flower headband of some kind. Leave your hair up or down. It's just a matter of your preference. And your look is complete. Now this look, you can also include some fake eyelashes. I have some. I can put them on to show you what they look like. I feel like your eyes are so dark and lost. It's not always necessary, but some people feel like it's a little bit more glamorous. I will take a moment and put these on. With the false lashes now added on, you can feel like your look is complete. And I hope you guys enjoy this fairly simple Halloween tutorial. It makes a big splash at a party. And I promise it's not too hard. It's really swirls, dots, and some face paint. If you can get your hands on those and if you're able to draw those, this look is done. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you like this video.